Well, it is the biggest U-turn in recent political history, but it's very clear that this is a decision that Theresa May has made in the interests of her own party, not in the interests of the country. She clearly sees the opportunity, given the total disarray in Labour, to crush all opposition, to get rid of people who disagree with her, and to get a free hand to take the UK in an ever rightward direction. And that would mean not just the hardest possible Brexit, but more austerity and deeper cuts. So in Scotland, this is the time to make sure that we stand up for Scotland's interests, make Scotland's voice heard, and ensure that we have MPs fighting Scotland's corner.
You talk about the prospect of an increased Tory majority, but Theresa May talks about division created by your party amongst others. Have you brought on the prospect of a stronger Tory government?
Well, different parties standing up for different positions, and in the case of the SNP in Scotland, reflecting the decision that people in Scotland took in the EU referendum, is democracy. And I thought it was very telling in Theresa May's statement this morning that it is opposition that she's seeing the opportunity to crush. She's looking at the disarray in Labour and seeing the opportunity to crush the voices of people who disagree with her. Now, I don't think that's healthy. I think it's really important, given that it's very clear, not just in Brexit, but when it comes to austerity and public services and cuts in the future, the Tories want to take the UK in a ever rightward direction. So it's really important that in Scotland we have strong voices standing up for the kind of country we want Scotland to be, a fair, prosperous, open, welcoming country. And that's the values I'll be putting forward in this election.
Do you accept this is an election about an independent referendum, that a second independent referendum will be the issue north of the border?
Well, the issue in this election will be whether we want to give the Tories a free hand to do whatever they want and to take the UK, including Scotland, in whatever direction they want, or whether we want to have MPs in Scotland that stand up for the kind of country we want Scotland to be. Now, the Prime Minister's position on an independence referendum, I think, is illustrative of the fact that she wants to be the one calling the shots in Scotland, come what may. I want to make sure Scottish voices are heard and that Scotland's values are to the fore, and that's the campaign I'll be leading in the weeks ahead.
If the voices in Scotland and perhaps beyond are heard or are manifested in a strong vote for unionist parties, what does that say about the appetite for an independence referendum? And is there a real risk for you here that your case is fundamentally weakened?
Well, I'm relishing the opportunity. I think there is a real optimism in my party about getting out there and standing up for the values that I think the majority in Scotland hold dear. And people across Scotland, I think, will be very mindful of the risks to Scotland of strengthening the hand of a Tory government that is moving ever further to the right, because we know the implications of that in public spending, in public services, in support for the vulnerable. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and making the case for Scotland's voice being heard.
Does an early election take us closer to Scottish independence, or does it take us further away?
Well, the case for Scottish independence referendum is there. It has been set out. It's based on a mandate won at the Scottish election last year. That doesn't change. But this election is about standing up for Scotland and making sure that the Tories don't get a free hand to do whatever they want in Scotland.
If you get less than 56 MPs, which is what you had last time, what does that say about the appetite for independence?
Look, I'm fighting this election. I'll be fighting it to win in Scotland, and I'm relishing that prospect.
And finally, on a housekeeping point of view, or housekeeping point, you had said that you would set out to the Scottish Parliament how you would proceed towards a second independence referendum. Do you still plan to do that, or does this affect the picture?
Well, of course, in due course, I will do that, but obviously we'll take stock of the developments today in terms of the timing of that, and we'll set out our plans to Parliament in due course.
After the election?
Look, I'll set that out in due course. We'll consider what's best in light of the announcement today and set that out to Parliament when we've come to a view of that.